Damn, Q. Baby, you did that.
Welcome to the Oh Yeah podcast with your boy, Mr. Oh Yeah, Detroit's #1 ambassador. Appreciate you joining us for another episode of Real Stories from Real People. Welcome to another episode of the Oh Yeah podcast with your boy, Mr. Oh Yeah, Detroit's #1 ambassador. And we thank you as always as joining us as we coming to you from the legendary Floods Bar and Grill, where you could definitely come hang out with us every Wednesday for All Industry Connect, where we take the time to connect with one another and make sure that we have a good time. It's a place that is something that you should be attending on any day of the week, but Wednesdays is something special, and we definitely want you here. And again, back to this episode, I'm really honored. I know that we are blessed. I know that this is going to be one interesting episode where I have the opportunity to have intriguing dialogue with one of Detroit's pleasurable folks that's coming out of the woodwork, an author, a corporate American vet, Miss Jennifer L Payne, the author of I'm Single, Not Sorry. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the Oh Yeah podcast with us. With super producer Q and I, we have been talking about you since we had the opportunity of meeting you with the release of the book,
Yes.
I'm Single But Not Sorry. That was in June, correct?
Yes, the release was in June.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we are really blessed and honored to have you here with us.
Thank you.
And as a gift, we wanted to give you Candidly Speaking.
Okay.
Candidly Speaking is one of our partners who believe in presenting us in a different light, right?
Okay.
So these are birthday cards, anniversary cards,
yes.
all but representation of us.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
So I hope that you enjoy it and that you and our followers check out Candidly Speaking.
It's amazing.
Yeah, social media, and anywhere you look at social media, you can find Candidly Speaking in all those cards, man. So
Ooh.
that is for you. And again, thank you. And I really believe that's just
Can I show this?
Yeah.
She says
please.
you didn't have to, but you did.
Come on now.
But you did, and
That's a thank you card.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
huh?
Woo! Yes,
Come on
I
now,
like
see?
it. And who is the
Come
creator
on,
of
thank
this?
you. Miss LaToya Simpson is the
Okay.
creator, owner, operator, CEO.
And she's from Detroit, right?
From Detroit.
Thank you, LaToya.
Come on
Thank
now.
you.
Come
I'm
on
gonna use
now.
these.
I
yes.
love it. You see it, huh? You
I
see
like
it.
this.
And I think I'm glad that you said it in that light. Because one thing the Oh Yeah podcast is about is real stories from real people. And why not real stories from real people from the city of Detroit?
Absolutely.
When I tell you what I would consider to be the best place in the world, right?
You got a lot of stories, that's for sure.
You're an author from here.
Yes.
A black woman author from here who is taking the world by storm with this I'm Single.
Not sorry.
Can you please
I'm
indulge
single,
us?
not sorry. Okay.
Tell us
Indulge
about
me.
this book, please.
So I'll say the setting is 5 best friends. The main character, her name is Ava Amore. She just turns 40 and realized that while she's climbing in her career in corporate America, she doesn't have children, she doesn't have a husband, a spouse, a partner, nor a boo, nothing. You know what I mean? Nor a boo, nothing. She don't have potential, anything. And so on her 40th birthday, she's sitting there and she's wondering, like, has she set out, did she go the right path for herself?
Okay.
You know, was she so career focused or was she so picky?
Yeah.
And that's why she's quote unquote alone today. Again, dealing with societal pressures, dealing with family and friends chiming in, like, you know, girl, that biological clock is ticking. You don't have children. You know, you're not married. You don't have a boo. What you doing?
Right.
You know, before she would just say, hey, I'm too busy and go on with her life. And now it's those pressures are kicking in, and she's, you know, listening to those voices of, wow, have I made the right decision?
Yeah, trying to find her way through it.
Trying to find her way through, yeah.
Okay.
But after reading the book, and you read the book, and she's listening to her other best friends, her 4 best friends, and their stories.
Yeah.
You know, she comes to a conclusion at the end.
She comes to a conclusion. That's right. Don't tell them the conclusion just yet.
She comes to a conclusion.
They got to go get the book for that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So with the release of this book, there was a book launch here at LA, Detroit, Atlanta, correct?
Yep.
We had the pleasure of meeting you at the Detroit launch.
Yep.
And boy, let me tell you, we got a lot of opinions out there in regards to this book, but it became real life. Has that been your response everywhere you go with those who read it?
Yeah, that's why, you know, it was important for me to launch what we call the conversation in connection with the book, because these types of conversations are happening everywhere. They're happening every day. They're happening in people's living rooms. They're happening at school. They're happening even at work. I have conversations with my boss about my love life or lack of love life. You know what I mean? So they're happening. And so I said, you know what, let's create a setting that's a safe space for people to have a conversation about all of the things that relate to a relationship, of why not. I've found that it's been therapeutic for people. I've had women hug me afterwards and in tears, and I when I wrote the book, that wasn't my expectation. I wrote it to be therapeutic for me. I wrote it because I was mad, you know, at somebody, and I said, you know what, at least I'm gonna make some money off this Negro.
Don't give it all yet. We're going to walk to that. We ain't made it there yet. We ain't made it there yet. But it's been an overwhelming response.
Yes.
Right? And people are really relating to it, especially women.
Yes. And men. It's interesting because especially after men attend a conversation, they've been like, okay, hold on, I got to get this book. If they didn't have the book before, then they want to get the book. Or I've had men say, the next conversation you have, I want to be there. You know, and that's what led us. It was actually in LA, and I have a video clipping of it. A gentleman stood up and said, listen, if you guys are going to keep having these conversations, you have to have men in the room. This can't be a one-sided conversation where the women just do all the talking. I mean, but we had in LA, we had more men standing up and I would say kind of heated, you know, like, you know, passionate, I would say. Passionate in LA, and it made me stop and go, whoa.
Wait a minute.
I think we on to something here. And so that's when I came to Detroit, and we did I'm Single Not Sorry, a man's perspective. And that's why we had Ty and TJ, Tony Harrison, up there. And as you can see, boy, oh boy.
It was good that you had the fire hose back there, because it got hot in there.
It did get hot.
But that was good though, right? And I think that's what the impact of Q and I, the producer, where we said we had to have you on here, because it's impacted many. And more importantly, I do say this, but our culture, what does that look like, right? Because we still want to find ways to grow from one another and be happy together some way, right?
I mean, that's the goal.
That's
you know,
the goal.
Ultimately, nobody really wants to, you know, die alone. Or, you know what I'm saying? No one wants to, when you get older. Like, I have a little dog, my little Benjamin. You know, he's at home in LA with the sitter, and when I don't want to just be me and Benjamin. I want to boo too. But it gotta be right.
It's gotta
be right. So. There you have it.
Let's be clear. It's got to be right now. All right, now they're looking at this.
If it ain't right, then it just will be.
Don't even step to you, huh? I ain't mad at that. So what was all of each cities, because then it was Atlanta, was it very similar response there as well? Or?
Yeah, now in Atlanta we had a lot more women. We had a few men, but it was a lot more women. And that conversation got very passionate. Women opened up to things. The conversation detoured off to one-night stands and clubs, particular adult clubs for, swingers. And I was like, okay.
Wait a minute.
I'm looking at the young lady and I'm like, there's a camera right there.
Right,
the camera is rolling.
Right.
So it was fun, and she was like, "Hey, we grown." I said, "Okay, then keep the camera rolling."
Keep the camera rolling.
Yeah.
They grown, we good.
We grown.
And again, the conversations are needed, right?
Yep.
But the impact, if we can continue on with that, it's to my understanding that it's growing. There's more than just Michigan, California, and Georgia, and further than the United States, right?
I got somebody to reach out, a book club to reach out from me from the UK.
Okay.
And they want me to come and speak at their book club, and it's supposed to be in January.
Okay.
And so I was very excited about that. I was like, oh, okay.
I'm sure.
Just, a woman's group, but they too are gonna open it up to men. So that's gonna be very interesting to hear it from a UK perspective. Because UK, historically, traditionally, they're a little more open with sexuality.
Yes.
And so to have this conversation with as open as they are, it's going to be a different dynamic than the United States.
Right.
So this is going to be very interesting.
I
can't wait to, and that's one that I'm definitely documenting because I can't wait to see the response in the room.
Come on now, one of my taglines is document your affairs. Now. You got to make sure you keep that up. So now, first and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
Because that's your work, right? And really seeing the impact on your people, your friends, your family, that's real, right? Who is Jennifer Payne? Jennifer Payne from Detroit, Michigan, right? Please tell us more. How did you get into the writing? What inspired this path?
I've always been a writer, and like my best friend will tell you, I told you who my best friend is.
Yeah.
And I actually, on the first page, I dedicated that book to him because he's what got me started. He got me heated one day. I was talking to him and he said, Jen, you're so picky.
Okay.
You so, you know what I mean? You need to loosen up a little bit. And he told me, he said, at the time I hadn't turned 44 yet, I was 43. He said, you 43, you getting up there, you over the hill, you past your prime. I said, over the hill? He said, yeah, you over the hill. He said, you over 40. And you ain't got nobody yet.
Right.
Whew.
He took you there. And I believe you, because when you just, it was almost like the thoughts. You pointed at me like I was him. Wait a minute, now.
And he knows, and he probably did that to push my buttons because, I tell people all the time that I am a feminist. It's no secret. And what I mean by when I say I'm a feminist, I'm talking about equality. Women equality. I'm not talking to I'm not the type of feminist that stands up and say, women can do this and women can do that. And we don't need no man. Now let me make this clear.
Let's make it clear.
I want a man.
Okay. Come on now.
Let me be clear.
Come on now.
But I am a
the
feminist.
The camera's rolling, like you say, right?
Exactly. I am a feminist at heart where, I believe in equal rights for women, and I believe that women should make their own decisions, especially when it comes to their body and their health care and all of that. So I fight for those rights. And he knows that, and he sees all my social media posts, and sometimes he goes, you get on my nerves with those, those types of posts. But that set me off to really finish writing the book in conjunction with a situation that I was dating a guy and found out that he was a complete psychopath.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what?
We ain't there yet. Now come on now,
all right. Well, we gotta get there.
We ain't there yet. We ain't there yet.
Okay.
So coming up though here in Detroit, had it been poetry as well, like all the writing? It was just.
Yeah, I mean, what got me into writing, I'm sorry, I did get off track. What got me into writing is I had done PR for a long time in sports, and just doing just basic communications and press releases, internal communications for companies and stuff like that. I mean, I knew that I was at least a decent writer. And so, like I said, I had this story brewing and this story to tell, and it came from just me growing up and also being in corporate. Now, I do have a child. He's not a child. He's a grown man. He's 21 years old.
Okay.
He'll be 20.
He's your child.
He's
though.
my baby though.
Okay.
I do have a child, but I always would get that when I get around family, like, so when you gonna get married?
Yeah.
So I'll never see you with a man.
Yeah.
And as if a man is needed to complete me or to make me successful in that way, and that really annoyed me over the years. To get that from friends and family on a continuous basis.
I've heard this before. I have some cousins and friends that I talk to quite often as well about that position. But,
yes.
So if I'm hearing correctly, though, there was no traditional education in terms of writing and things of that nature.
No, I mean, my bachelor's is in communications, my master's is in management. No, I didn't, study writing. I did take some writing classes to fulfill my degree requirements.
Of course.
But there was no formal study like I majored or minored in, writing or anything like that. No.
Okay.
No.
I think that's I think it's important. The reason why I'm asking that is because people seem to believe that you just make it here.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That you just make it.
You just have this great book that everybody loves, and but it's a journey.
It's a journey,
walk, right?
So let me tell you. I had like three editors.
Okay.
To review my work, and to give me feedback, luckily, I guess this is kind of like a proud moment for me. I didn't really have that many edits as far as, rewrite this or rewrite that. It was more probably sentence structure or present past tense. Yeah. Sometimes when we're writing, we get hung up on the tenses. Yeah. And just for flowing and stuff like that. But as far as the thought, that was all there. That was me. The storyline, I should say, is all there and all.
The foundation was there.
Yeah, but I had 3 editors. I have an illustrator who illustrated my cover, and that was a process. That took us, I don't know, about 2 or 3 months to get that together, because he really tried to pull it out of me, of this image of Ava. Yeah. And so that was all a process.
Yeah, a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah, just a little bit, but because he's an amazing, I tell people all the time, if you're going the illustration route, make sure you have an amazing illustrator and you get what you pay for. Okay. Okay, so that is very important. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, no, I took my time and I wrote. And then literally like the last 3 months before it was published, I was still making edits the first week of June.
Really?
Because I kept going back and going, maybe, changing this, changing that. And finally, my illustrator was like, stop. Okay. Because every time I added more pages, he had to shift the margins on the cover. Oh. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So if I added or subtracted pages, he got to go back in and make changes. Right. And he was like, it's good. Right. Stop. Yeah. But that was the hard.
That was your baby.
That was
your baby.
Yeah.
Right.
And I kept going in there. I literally, I think more was like the second week, because the launch was on June 21st. Right. I didn't go to print until 6 days before the launch. Okay. It was crazy.
It was crazy. I just saw you look back at that too.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
And we just briefly talked about this before we started, but this is your first publication. Yep. First book out, but not the first that you've written. No. Nope. Right? Mm-mm. But we decided to go here. Yes. Because of what you've been trying to talk about. Yep. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about this food.
Let's talk about this food. Come on.
Woo! I had a situation.
Inspiration.
It was. At the time, it wasn't no inspiration. I can tell you that. But yeah, I had a situation. Yeah, I was dating a guy who was a complete narcissist, psychopath, literally. And I'm not using those words loosely. Okay. But I guess I can thank him for the inspiration to go in and finish this book. Right. You know what I mean? I thank Curtis Blackwell for getting me to start writing. Yes. But this fool was the inspiration that got me to finish. Yeah.
You don't got to say his name.
No, I ain't saying his name. I mean, I don't mind.
No, it's cool. It's cool. You know? It's cool. We together here. We together.
But if you want his name, I'll give it. But yeah, this fool, and that's what sparks the conversation sometimes. So I go with men, I say, why do men do this?
Yeah.
So the whole time this man was dating me, and he was chasing after me in the beginning. I wasn't even interested in him.
Okay.
The whole time he was dating me, he was engaged to another woman.
Wow.
And he got married the day after my birthday, and I talked to him, and we texted and talked and all this stuff, and I said, well, what were you doing? Talking to me when you were walking down the aisle? I'm so confused. I didn't find out until like almost 3 weeks later that he was married, and it wasn't from him. He didn't tell me, but he had a trip planned and everything.
A trip planned for?
Us to go on a trip to Mexico.
After he got married?
After he got married.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I found out he was married, it was all bad.
All bad?
All bad, yeah. I would say this. I'm so glad that I have matured in the last 5 years.
Okay.
Because I called some of my girlfriends who who went to our school, and they was like, well, sis, it sounds like he might want us to pull up. And I said, you know what? Had this been 5 years ago,
we may have pulled up. We may have pulled up. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of strength. That's a lot of growth. Look, there's a lot of woosah.
There's a lot of woosah, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, a lot of Pilates. I tore that Pilates machine up. Yeah.
Okay. Pilates. Well, it's interesting though because writers before you, Toni Morrison, right? Nikki Giovanni, you know.
Terry McMillan. That's
right?
my big inspiration.
Big inspiration, right? And you had the story, right? But not very similar to that. You got the Mary J. Bliges of the world.
Oh yeah.
You know where they say that some of their pain has turned into great work. It's safe to say that.
It's 100%. 100% for me.
100%.
Yep. I wouldn't. There was the pain, but then there was also the nuance and the irritation from the daily life, the pressures of society of telling you who you should be, what you should be, when you should be it, which is irritating. Because I'm like, well, who are y'all to tell anybody?
Absolutely. Right.
So just all of that. But yeah, Mary J, big inspiration. You don't have to be a book writer to be a storyteller.
Right.
And music.
Man, that's a bar. JP, come on now. You don't have to be
a book writer to be a storyteller.
Okay.
So music is the biggest inspiration of all for me. Yeah. So that's why in my book there are QR codes.
Okay.
And almost after every other chapter, there's a QR code where you can go to a playlist that's on Tidal and listen to the music that's kind of dedicated to that chapter.
Okay.
So you can read and vibe out, and then we have drink recipes, so you can make a drink, vibe out to some music. But when I was going through that, the only thing that really helped me get through it, because it took me by complete surprise, was music. I would get up every morning and I would listen to music. Mary J was heavy on the playlist.
Okay.
That Mary J, it's a lot of them that helped me like get through it, and then it just became therapeutic where I would just write and write and write. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I gotta ask this only because of the way you positioned it. What do you think was holding you back from writing this book, or moving for? Okay, work.
Yeah, just work. Yeah, but I believe there is a time, place, and a space for everything.
Yeah.
And then, a couple of years ago, when I had the title of the book and said, okay, I'm going to write this book, it wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
It wasn't the right time. My head wasn't even in the right space.
That's right.
The timing was after this incident because I really just went all in. And I actually had to cut a couple of chapters out and save it for
what's
part
coming
2.
next.
Yeah, what's coming next. But it's a time, place, and space for everything.
It is. Real stories from real people. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing this level of vulnerability about you. So the relationship between Jennifer and Ava.
Yeah.
What is that like?
They real close. They besties. They besties. Yeah, they real close.
They real close. Okay. It's not an autobiography, but
no, they just best friends.
They just. So I'm assuming that a lot of women have told you that in the last 4 or 5 months that they relate to Ava as well.
Or they relate
or the
to
friends.
Sydney.
Okay.
A lot of women have had a Sydney experience. Sydney was the one, in case you haven't read the book yet, I'm going to let you off the hook. Come on. Sydney was the one who was married with children, and her husband had an affair on her, but the only way she only found out she was on his computer and saw pictures of his other children.
Yeah.
Those types of stories are real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I've talked to women where they say, I'm getting Sydney vibes. You know what I mean? Or, I have female friends who are white, and they say, thank you for telling Hannah's story.
Yeah.
Hannah is a white woman who was dating a black man, but did not feel comfortable with telling her friends that she was dating this black man because she's heard the joke all too often of black men dating white women, and that's all they do, and why they shouldn't, and blah, 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 blah. So I've actually had some white women to say, thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
And I say, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, because I didn't do it for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these were a collection of stories that I've heard over the years.
Okay.
And so I didn't do it for them, I did it for the book.
Right.
But to know that it has helped somebody, or it has given people a greater understanding. Like when we were at the Detroit Read and you heard Ty and some people sitting in the audience saying, why would you relate a woman turning 40 or 40 plus years old like a carton of old eggs, or spoiled eggs, or groceries, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's just a play on the words. You know what I mean? But there are a lot of women out there, when they hit 40, it's something about that 40.
It's different, huh?
It hits to them, and especially if they're not in a place where they want to be, or they need to be in their life. And it doesn't have to do with a relationship. It could be work related, career, whatever. Yeah. When they hit that 40, some women do feel like, man, I'm getting old. I'm over the hill.
Right.
And I'm like, no, baby, your life is just starting.
We got more time.
We got more time. God granted, we got more time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't.
Let's take advantage of it.
Yeah. I look at my life now, and there's no way I could have written a book like this 10, 15 years ago. I didn't have enough experience.
Yeah.
Now I could have gotten stories from someone else, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't have been able to personally relate to it and then be able to go out and talk about and share. And you gotta be, sometimes you need that experience.
It's the journey.
It's the journey. You
it's
need
what
that
we're
wisdom.
talking. I'm telling you, I get it and I understand it. Those life experiences, it's shining through you. It's coming all out.
Yeah.
And it's surely coming out in your work. Again, we were there. And I do remember the Hannah story. I do remember the Sydney story and them talking about it. And it was the impact that moved me. Like, the conversation was definitely going, but it just led from one story to the next, one emotion to the next. And some hide it, I won't say arguments, but it was almost like, well, you tell me. I'm looking to go to the feeling that you have now, because I think you can look back at, or what you've just explained to us is that moment that you were dealing with that man, that moment that you were dealing with your friend who inspired you, right? That moment in time while working in corporate America, right? Where are you now with this, with actually seeing the impact of this book and your writings, your work, your journey on the people?
Yeah. One, I'm very thankful that people have accepted the book the way they have. Like I said, men have purchased my book for their other female friends, and a lot of men told me that they wanted to, read it themselves. Where I am right now, I'm still taking it all in, but it's definitely inspiration for me to keep writing. That's what I want. That's what I am going to do. It's even inspired me in my work life. In corporate, it's given me a sense of purpose of being somewhat of a mentor that I was not planning to be or trying to be. But I've had people that I've worked with, my colleagues and stuff, to come to me about it and say, I love your book, thank you.
Right.
And I'm like, me?
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was where I was going next, is because I would assume it's going to continue with that. Like the way that it's hitting people, but obviously you're talking to a certain demographic through the writing, right? But I'm assuming it's got to be a 20-year-old young lady now.
And that's what I'm
saying.
saying.
A 30-year-old young lady now.
Yeah.
Right? But not just because of the book and them trying, well, I don't want to say, because their life could be together now. I don't want no problems here. Okay? But I guess not just from the ramifications of the book, but you as a person, you as a writer, you being from Detroit, you being in corporate America, right? Somebody else wants to do the same thing. Like, where are you telling them?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people to ask me again about the process. I just literally had a family member to message me on Facebook and said, hey, our other family member or someone else was looking for a literary agent. And they asked me, and I don't know, I said, I don't have a relationship with a literary agent, and she said, what? She said, your book, the whole product, everything looks so polished. And she was like, I'm more impressed. And I said, no agent, I did this on my own.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So then you take that exhale, because you're like, oh shit, now I'm gonna have a bunch of people asking me.
Oh shit, that's right. It's coming.
It's coming. But that made me feel good, because people thought I went through a publishing company. My own company. They thought I went through, the bigger publishing company. They thought I had an agent. And I was like, no, because I was thinking like, wow, I never said that I did, and then she said, no, it's the whole presentation and the touring and all of that you're doing. They were like, we just knew you had an agent. And I said, so that it's interesting, because it makes me, even though if no one ever says it to me, it kind of makes me give myself a pat on the back.
Right.
Because when you go through this process, you have self-doubts. Like, should I have done it this way? Should I have taken that chapter out? Should I have added this? You know what I mean? You have self-doubts, down to back looking at the illustration. Maybe I should have had her t-shirt yellow. You know what I mean? You go through all kinds of crazy thoughts, and then you're gonna always have somebody who feels like they can't resonate with your book. Like, oh, that book isn't all that, and it's getting so much. I've heard that too.
What's that?
That book isn't all that.
Okay.
That it's getting so much. It's getting too much hype.
Well, haters gonna hate.
Yeah, haters. But here's the thing: you have to tell yourself to not let that affect you, because it could. You know what I mean? So
the irony of when you started this, the answer to that question, you said, I just exhaled. Toni Morrison, right? Waiting to exhale?
No, Terry McMillan.
Terry McMillan, I'm sorry.
Terry
Get me
McMillan,
right now. Come on now.
Yes.
But I guess, as you say, you're taking all this in, the different responsibility, I would assume now, right? And you were just trying to...
I was just trying to get through a mess I was in.
Get through the mess.
I was just trying to get through,
And now, you've exhaled, right?
Yep.
And more responsibilities have come, right? More inspiration, I'm assuming, is coming now, right?
All of that, and it's not like it's bad.
Of course.
You do have to stop and exhale, especially for me, because I still do. I work in advertising. I head the D&I initiatives in advertising, which is a whole nother beast in itself. That's that creative space, and a lot of our clients. A lot of people know of our clients, and every time you see a commercial, I can almost promise you they're probably a client.
Yeah.
So, and to be in that space, that's another creative space. And then in my own creative space separately from work,
Yeah.
and trying to have both worlds. I have a dog, I have a son.
Yeah.
I do have a little boo.
Okay. we close. We close to that part now, okay?
Okay.
Because that's where I was going with this.
Okay.
As we've talked about this journey,
Yep.
you seem ready. You seem ready to really receive this love. You seem ready to be, confident. The glow is there for sure.
You said the glow.
You know what I
This is
mean?
the second time I've heard that this week.
Really?
Yes.
So
yeah.
it's evident, right? Like, do you feel that? Like, do you feel ready and prepared
I do.
for this opportunity, this new love,
Yeah.
and this new boo?
I do. And the thing that I love about it is that we're both like just taking our time, and it's like whatever happens, happen.
Okay.
Like neither one of us wanted the pressure of a title,
Yeah.
or like, where are we this week?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Are we walking down the aisle? I'm like,
Were y'all dancing like that too when you did it? No. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
but neither one of us wants that.
Yeah.
And it just feels so real.
Okay.
And so authentic. And it's like on our terms.
Yeah.
It's a
Come
great
on.
space.
I think it's interesting that I
Yeah.
talked about work, I talked about this opportunity of
Yeah.
the book, but the first thing you talked about was that boo.
Boo.
I hope he see this.
No,
I hope he
some things you gotta keep tucked away.
No, let him know that he doing it.
Yeah, he is.
He on the right track, right?
Yep, he is.
Okay, good.
So, it's funny because we talked about that last night, and just in our journey of dating.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if you continue to behave.
Oh,
He hate that word.
Oh, I
He
would
said,
too.
Behave.
Who you
But I
talking to?
did-
Who you talking to? But go ahead.
Yeah,
I know. You JP.
Said you continue to behave, but jokingly, all
Yeah,
jokes aside,
yeah.
no, it's funny. The irony of this is that I met him while traveling on the book tour.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I met him at one of my reads.
You never would have met him if you never would have wrote the book.
Nope.
Or if you never would have got pissed off by the clown.
Yep. The irony of writing a book,
Yeah.
I'm Single Not Sorry, and having a book read along this tour, and I meet someone
About.
while discussing the release of the book.
Come on now. Now
Yeah.
we're going to have you come back so you can give us an update on this now, all right?
Yeah.
What's next?
I don't know. Work, another book.
Okay.
Another book. So, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm just letting life, because my favorite quote I like to tell people is, God laughs at our, you know what I'm saying, the path that we've created for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? He laughs at our little timeline.
Yeah.
So when we say that, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing it then and that, it's a joke. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned in this journey of mine, is that it's really not up to me.
It ain't up to you.
Now I got to put in the work. I have to do the work.
Yeah.
A lot of people misunderstand that.
Come on.
They're like, oh, God's going to make a way. Yeah, you got to work for it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, or whoever their higher power is,
Yeah.
you have to make a way for it, and or you have to work for it. And so for me, it's just like, I'm going to do the work. I love doing the work that I do right now. I'm very passionate about the book writing and being in the D&I space.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to continue down that path and just see where it goes.
See where it goes. Listen, corporate America, author, and preacher. You over here preaching too?
Well, Lord, no, I ain't.
Come on, I
ain't no preacher.
listen, take it on in. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. I love it. Miss Jennifer L Payne. I'm single,
Not sorry.
not sorry. We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. It means a lot. The Oh Yeah podcast is a place that looks to celebrate positivity, celebrate these stories, real stories from real people. You so real.
Thank you.
Thank you
proud
for
of me.
sharing it with us, how you made it, or where you from and how you got to this point. We only ask that you continue sharing the story with us.
Absolutely.
As we know all the blessings is flowing with you and there's more to come. And we just ask that you come back and check us out.
Absolutely.
And we working on something, right?
Yep.
We working on something. Y'all better be ready for it, okay? That's what I say.
Yes.
Another episode of the Oh Yeah podcast. We thank you for joining in. Please go find
I'm Single Not Sorry
Where?
on Amazon and Barnes & Noble online.
And then come back. Send her a little something on social media. Let her know what you think about the book. Let us know as well. And we definitely will be having her back. Signing off from here at Floods Bar and Grill, your boy Mr. Oh Yeah, Detroit's #1 ambassador.